She was just a broke waitress with holes in her shoes and $27 to her name. He was a billionaire who could buy anything he wanted. But on one rainy night, she gave him something money could never buy. And he gave her something that would change her life forever. What happened next? A corporate conspiracy, a battle against the powerful, and a friendship that proved kindness isn't just nice. It's the most powerful force in the world. This is a true story about what happens when you help a stranger in the rain. And I promise you, by the end, you'll never look at kindness the same way again. Let me take you back to where it all began. Welcome to Voice of Granny. While you are here, please hit the subscribe button and comment your view on the story and where you're watching from. Let me tell you about the night that changed everything. The night when one simple choice proved that kindness isn't just nice, it's powerful. It was raining in Chicago. Not the gentle kind of rain that makes you smile. No, this was the angry kind. The kind that soaks through your clothes in seconds and makes you wonder if the sky itself is weeping. Sarah Mitchell stood behind the counter of Joe's Diner on the South Side, watching the clock like it held all her dreams. It was almost 11 at night, and she'd been on her feet since 9 that morning. 14 hours. Her shoes had holes in them, but new ones weren't in the budget. Not when you're a single mother raising a 4-year-old daughter named Lily on tips and minimum wage. The diner was nearly empty. Just old Mr. Peterson in his usual spot, and the fluorescent lights flickering overhead like they were tired too. Sarah wiped down the counter for what felt like the 100th time that night, thinking about home. About Lily sleeping at the neighbor's apartment. About the rent that was due in 3 days and the $27 in her bank account. That's when she saw her. Through the rain-streaked window, barely visible under the broken streetlight, sat an elderly woman in a wheelchair. She wasn't moving, just sitting there in the pouring rain, her white hair plastered to her head, her thin body shaking. Sarah's heart stopped. She didn't think, didn't calculate, didn't wonder if this was her problem or if someone else would help. She just moved, pushed through the door into the storm, rain hitting her face like tiny needles. "Ma'am," Sarah shouted over the thunder. "What are you doing out here?" The old woman lifted her head slowly. Her face was pale, lips turning blue, but her eyes were still bright. And terrified. "My son," she whispered. "He said he'd pick me up from my appointment. He said he'd be here. How long have you been waiting?" "I don't know anymore. An hour? Maybe longer?" Something broke inside Sarah's chest. She knew that feeling. Being forgotten. Being left behind like you don't matter. Like you're invisible. "Come on," Sarah said, already moving behind the wheelchair. "Let's get you inside." "But the diner's closing." "I don't care. You're freezing." Sarah pushed the wheelchair toward the door. The wheels caught on the cracked sidewalk, and she had to use all her strength to get it moving. Her arms burned. Her back screamed. But she kept going. Inside, Sarah wheeled the woman to the warmest spot, right next to the old radiator that actually worked. She ran to the back, grabbed every clean towel she could find, and wrapped them around those thin, shaking shoulders. "Stay right here," Sarah said softly. "I'm going to get you something hot." She made chicken soup. The good kind they made fresh every morning. Added buttered toast and hot tea with honey. Brought it all over and set it down gently. "I'm Sarah," she said. "What's your name?" "Catherine. But everyone calls me Kathy." "Nice to meet you, Kathy. Now eat. You need to warm up from the inside." Kathy stared at the food like it was a gift from heaven. Her hands trembled as she picked up the spoon. She took a sip and tears filled her eyes. "Thank you," she whispered. "You didn't have to do this." "Yes, I did." They sat together in that quiet diner while the rain hammered outside. Kathy told Sarah about her son, Daniel. How successful he was, how busy. How he ran a real estate empire with buildings all over the city. How he'd moved her into a care facility last year when her arthritis got too bad for her to live alone. "He's a good boy," Kathy said, but her voice cracked. "He just forgets sometimes. About me. About everything that isn't work." Sarah understood. She'd been forgotten too. By Lily's father, who decided being a dad was too hard. By employers who saw her as replaceable. By a world that didn't seem to notice people like her existed. "Tell me about you," Kathy said. "You must have family waiting." "Just my daughter, Lily. She's 4 years old and she's everything to me. 4 is a beautiful age." "It is." This morning she asked me why clouds don't fall down. Took me 20 minutes to explain gravity, and I'm still not sure she believed me. Kathy laughed. Actually laughed. It was a beautiful sound in that shabby diner. They talked for another hour. About children and dreams and the way life doesn't always turn out how you planned. About being strong even when you're tired. About holding on even when letting go seems easier. Finally, Sarah called a taxi, made sure Kathy got in safely, watched the car disappear into the rain. She went home that night to her tiny apartment, kissed sleeping Lily on the forehead, and whispered, "I promise, baby. I'm going to make things better for us." Sarah had no idea how true those words would become. She had no idea that helping one lonely woman in the rain would change absolutely everything. Because the next morning, when Joe's Diner opened its doors, a man walked in. He wore a suit that probably cost more than Sarah made in 6 months. His shoes were polished to a mirror shine. His presence filled the room like he owned it. He walked straight to Sarah. "You're Sarah Mitchell," he said. "Not a question. A statement." "Who's asking?" "My name is Daniel Foster. You met my mother last night." And just like that, Sarah's life was about to take a turn she never saw coming. Sarah's heart pounded as she looked at Daniel Foster. He had his mother's eyes, sharp and intelligent, but where Kathy's held warmth, his held something colder. Control. Distance. Power. "Is your mother okay?" Sarah asked. "She's fine. Thanks to you." He glanced around the diner, his expression unreadable. "Is there somewhere we can talk? This is as private as it gets. Whatever you need to say it here." Daniel's jaw tightened slightly. He wasn't used to being told no, Sarah could tell. But he nodded. "I came to thank you for helping my mother. She told me everything. How you brought her inside, fed her, made sure she was safe." He paused. "I also came to apologize. I should have been there. I wasn't. That's on me." Sarah studied his face. "Your mother sat in the rain for over an hour waiting for you. She called 3 times. "I know." His voice was tight. "I was in a meeting. My phone was off. By the time I saw her messages, my assistant had already sent a car." "A meeting?" Sarah couldn't keep the edge out of her voice. "Your mother was sitting in the rain, scared and cold, and you were in a meeting. You don't understand the pressures." "Of what? Being rich? Being important?" Sarah stepped closer. "Here's what I understand. Your mother is lonely. She's in pain. And the one person who should care about her most doesn't have time for her." The diner went completely silent. Even the cook stopped moving in the kitchen. Daniel slowly reached into his jacket and pulled out an envelope. "I'd like to compensate you for your kindness. I don't want your money. It's not charity." "I said no." Sarah's voice was sharp as glass. "I didn't help your mother because I wanted something from you. I helped her because she needed help. That's it." Daniel stood there, envelope extended, looking at Sarah like she was a puzzle he couldn't solve. "You're a waitress at a diner that's barely staying open. You have a daughter. You need—" "Don't," Sarah interrupted. "Don't tell me what I need. You want to make yourself feel better? Write a check to a homeless shelter. But don't come in here throwing money at me like that erases what you did to your mother." Something flickered in Daniel's eyes. Surprise, maybe. Or respect. "You're right," he said quietly. "About most of it. I failed my mother. I've been failing her for years." He met Sarah's eyes. "But I'm not here to make myself feel better. I'm here to offer you a job." Sarah blinked. "What?" "A job. At Foster Properties. Director of Community Relations. Your salary would be 10 times what you make here." "Are you insane? I'm a waitress. I didn't even finish college. I don't need another business degree who can quote textbooks. I need someone with instincts. Someone who can read people. Someone who sees what others miss." Daniel set a business card on the counter. "My mother said you were stubborn. She also said you were kind, smart, and that you made the best soup she'd had in years." He tapped the card. "Think about it." "I don't need to think about it. The answer is no." "Why?" "Because I don't belong in your world. And I'm not interested in pretending I do." Daniel studied her for a long moment. Then he smiled. Really smiled. "My mother said you'd say that." He turned toward the door. "The offer stands. Call me if you change your mind." He was almost out when Sarah heard herself call out. "Wait." Daniel turned back. "Your mother. She's really okay." His expression softened. "She is. She asked me to tell you thank you. And that she'd like to call you sometime, if that's all right. Tell her I'd like that very much." After he left, Sarah stared at the business card. Simple. Elegant. Daniel Foster, CEO, Foster Properties. She should throw it away. Should forget this whole bizarre conversation. Instead, she slipped it into her apron pocket. For 3 days, that card sat there like a hot coal. Every time she counted her tips and came up short, She thought about it. 10 times her current salary. The number was impossible. On the 4th day, her landlord knocked on her door. "Rent's due, Sarah. You're already a week late." "I know, Mr. Williams. I'll have it by Friday. You said that last month, too." "Friday, or I start eviction proceedings." After he left, Sarah sat on her worn couch and did the math. Rent, utilities, groceries, childcare, Lily's shoes that were too small. The numbers didn't work. They never worked. She pulled out the business card and stared at it. "Mama, why do you look sad?" Lily appeared in the doorway, holding her stuffed elephant. "I'm not sad, sweetie. Just thinking." "About what?" "About how to make things better for us." Lily climbed onto the couch and snuggled close. "Things are already good, Mama. We have each other." Sarah wrapped her arms around her daughter, fighting tears. Love didn't pay the bills. Being together didn't put food on the table. That night, after Lily was asleep, Sarah picked up her phone. She stared at Daniel's number for 10 full minutes. This was crazy. She had no business experience. No connections. What could she possibly offer a real estate company? But then she thought about Lily. About the eviction notice that was coming. About being 28 years old and already feeling beaten down by life. Sarah dialed before she could change her mind. The phone rang 3 times. "Foster," his voice answered, crisp and professional. "Mr. Foster, this is Sarah Mitchell from the diner." A pause. "Miss Mitchell, I wasn't sure you'd call." "Neither was I." Sarah took a breath. "That job offer. Is it still available?" Sarah's first day at Foster Properties felt like landing on another planet. The building was 40 stories of glass and steel in downtown Chicago. People in expensive suits moved through the lobby with the kind of confidence that comes from knowing exactly where you belong. Sarah didn't feel like she belonged. She'd bought her outfit at a thrift store. A black blazer, gray pants, a white blouse. Her shoes pinched her toes. Her hair was pulled back in a bun she'd learned from a YouTube video at 5 that morning. The elevator ride to the 35th floor felt like it lasted forever. Sarah watched her reflection in the polished doors and saw a woman pretending to be someone she wasn't. The doors opened. The office was all modern furniture and glass walls. Everyone looked busy. Everyone looked like they'd been born wearing business clothes. "You must be Sarah." Sarah turned. A woman in her 40s stood there, blonde, sharp-eyed, wearing a suit that probably cost more than Sarah's monthly rent. "I'm Victoria Ross, Mr. Foster's chief of staff. Follow me." Victoria didn't wait for a response. Just started walking. Sarah hurried to keep up. "Mr. Foster is in meetings all morning. I'll get you settled." Victoria stopped at a glass-walled office. "This is yours." Sarah stared. "I have an office? Did you expect a closet?" Victoria's smile was cold. "Your login credentials are on the desk. Your first assignment is in that folder. We start at 8. You arrived at 8:20. Punctuality matters here." After Victoria left, Sarah sat at her desk and opened the folder. Riverside Commons, a property Foster Properties was considering buying. An apartment complex housing 200 families. The proposal recommended demolishing it and building luxury condos. Sarah read through pages of financial projections and profit margins. Nowhere did it mention that those numbers represented real people. Real families who'd lose their homes. She thought about her own apartment. About the fear of eviction. About what it felt like to be disposable. Sarah pulled out a notebook and started taking notes. Not about the money. About the people. Settling in okay? A young guy stood in her doorway. Mid-20s, wearing jeans and a hoodie. "Trying to," Sarah said. "You're the diner lady, right? The one who told off Mr. Foster. News travels fast." He grinned. "I'm Tommy Park, IT department. Here to set you up." He held up a laptop. "Fair warning, our system crashes at least twice a week." Tommy spent an hour getting her logged in and casually dropping useful information. "Victoria seems tough, but she's fair. Richard Palmer in finance thinks women should still be secretaries. And Derek Chun in acquisitions sees everyone as competition." "Sounds delightful. Mr. Foster's fair, though. If you do good work, he'll back you up." Tommy finished with her computer. "That Riverside project, it's Palmer's baby. He's convinced demolition is necessary. If you disagree in the meeting, he'll come at you hard." "When's the meeting?" 2:00. "Good luck. You'll need it." Sarah spent the next hours diving into research. She looked up comparable properties, studied how other companies handled similar situations, took notes in her own words. At 1:45, She grabbed her notebook and headed to the conference room. The room was already half full. Men in expensive suits sat around a massive table. They looked up when Sarah entered, and the temperature dropped 10 degrees. Sarah took a seat, kept her back straight, met their stares. An older man with silver hair looked at her like she was something unpleasant on his shoe. "You must be our new director." The way he said director was mocking. "Sarah Mitchell. You must be Richard Palmer." "That's Mr. Palmer to you." "Then it's Miss Mitchell to you." Sarah smiled. It wasn't friendly. The door opened. Daniel Foster entered, and everyone straightened. He took the head of the table, his eyes landing briefly on Sarah. "Let's begin. Palmer, walk us through Riverside." Palmer stood and presented his plan. 20 minutes about efficiency and profit. Not once did he mention the word families. When he finished, he looked around with satisfaction. "Questions?" "I have one." Everyone turned to Sarah. She stood up, hand steady. "Mr. Palmer, your proposal makes $30 million by demolishing Riverside Commons and building luxury condos. But you haven't accounted for the community backlash, the legal challenges from tenants, or the PR nightmare when this hits the news." Palmer's smile was condescending. "And you've determined this how?" "By reading your data. And by understanding something you've forgotten." Sarah looked around the table. "These aren't just buildings. They're homes. 200 families live there. Single mothers. Elderly people on fixed incomes. Working families who can't afford anything else. This isn't charity, sweetheart. It's business." Sarah felt anger flash through her. She used it. "You're right. Let's talk business. Your plan makes $30 million, but creates unlimited liability from lawsuits. Negative press that'll damage every other Foster property. And you're ignoring that 3 similar projects in other cities ended in bankruptcy." She pulled up her own analysis. "Here's an alternative. Renovate Riverside instead of demolishing it. Invest $15 million in upgrades. Keep current tenants but add 50 new market rate units. Net profit, $12 million. And you keep 200 families in their homes." The room was silent. "That's less than my proposal," Palmer said tightly. "It's sustainable. Your proposal destroys lives. Mine gives everyone a chance." Palmer's face turned red. "You've been here 6 hours, and you think you understand this business better than I do? I understand people. And I understand that treating them like they're disposable is how you kill a company's soul." "That's enough," Daniel spoke. "Palmer, Sarah, I want revised proposals by Thursday. We'll reconvene then." After the meeting, Daniel called Sarah to his office. "That was either brilliant or career suicide," he said. "I haven't decided which. I just told you what I saw. You just made a powerful enemy." Daniel sat on his desk edge. "Can you defend your proposal Thursday?" "Yes." "How?" "Because I'm right. And because I've lived in places like Riverside. I know what your demolition would cost in ways your spreadsheets never will." Daniel nodded slowly. "Good. Use that. But make your numbers bulletproof." Sarah left feeling terrified and exhilarated. She'd just gone to war with a senior executive on her first day. This was either the bravest or stupidest thing she'd ever done. For months passed like a dream Sarah was afraid to wake up from. She lived in a better apartment now. 2 bedrooms, so Lily had her own room with a real bed and toys she didn't have to share. The refrigerator worked. The heat stayed on in winter. Lily went to a good preschool where they actually taught her things. Sarah wore real professional clothes now. Had her hair done at an actual salon. Her business cards said, "Sarah Mitchell, Director of Community Relations, Foster Properties." The Riverside project had gone through with her plan. 0 families displaced. The news had run a story calling Foster Properties a rare example of ethical development. She'd also gotten close to Kathy. Took her to appointments twice a week. They'd have lunch after, just talking. Kathy told stories about Daniel as a boy. Sarah told Kathy about Lily, about her dreams. They became real friends. Life was good. That should have been Sarah's first warning. It was a Tuesday morning when Victoria appeared in her doorway, face grim. "We have a problem." "What kind?" "The kind that could end your career. Come with me." They went to Daniel's office. He stood there with 2 other people Sarah didn't recognize. Both wore suits that screamed law enforcement. Sarah's stomach dropped. "What's going on?" Daniel's face was stone. "There's been a security breach. Confidential information about our Lincoln Tower bid was leaked to our competitor. The leak came from your email account." The room spun. "What?" "No. That's impossible." One of the strangers pulled out a tablet. "This email was sent from your account 3 days ago at midnight. Confidential bid strategies. Sent directly to Sterling Development. I didn't send that. I wasn't even working at midnight. I was home with Lily. Can anyone verify that? My daughter. She's 4. Anyone else? Sarah's mind raced. No. She was asleep. I was working on my laptop, but not on Lincoln Tower. We checked your laptop. It shows you accessed Lincoln Tower files at 11:57 p.m. That's impossible. Someone hacked my account. Victoria spoke carefully. Or you sent the files and are claiming you were hacked. Why would I do that? What would I gain? Sterling Development has connections to people who opposed your hiring. Maybe they approached you with an offer. This is insane. Sarah looked at Daniel. His face was unreadable. You can't actually think I'd sabotage the company. The board is meeting in an hour, he said quietly. They're calling for your termination. Based on what? Circumstantial evidence. Based on the fact that you're the easy target, Victoria said. You've been here 4 months. You're an outsider. And Derek Chun has been pushing this narrative hard since the leak was discovered. Derek. Sarah remembered him from her first day. The one who saw everyone as competition. So someone, probably Derek, hacked my account, sent classified information, and now I'm taking the fall. That's the theory, Daniel said. But we need proof. And we need it in the next hour. Sarah felt panic rising. Then get it. Pull the IP addresses. Check the metadata. We did. The IP address matches your home network. Sarah felt like she couldn't breathe. Then someone accessed my home network. That's possible, right? Possible, but difficult to prove in 50 minutes. Sarah looked at Daniel. Did you bring me here to fail? To be some kind of experiment? No. His voice was quiet. I brought you here because you had something real. Something my company needed. But I need to know right now, did you do this? The words hurt more than Sarah expected. After everything. After she'd proven herself. No, she said firmly. I didn't. Someone set me up. And I'm going to prove it. How? I don't know yet. But I will. The walk to the boardroom felt like walking to her execution. People stared. Whispered. Sarah kept her head high. The boardroom was packed. Every board member present. Derek sat near the front, expression carefully neutral. The board chair, an older woman named Barbara Klein, called the meeting to order. Miss Mitchell, you're accused of corporate espionage. Leaking proprietary information that cost us a $50 million contract. What do you have to say? I didn't do it. I was set up. By whom? Derek asked, his tone sympathetic. Fake. I don't know yet. But I will find out. Richard Palmer leaned forward. The evidence is clear. The email came from your account from your home at a time when you were logged in. That doesn't mean I sent it. It means someone with the right access used my credentials. Like who? Barbara asked. Sarah looked directly at Derek. Like anyone with administrative privileges. Like Derek Chun. Derek's expression didn't change. That's a serious accusation. Do you have proof? Not yet. But give me 72 hours and I will. Palmer laughed. You expect us to wait while you fabricate evidence? I expect due process. Which means not firing someone without a proper investigation. Barbara looked at Daniel. What do you recommend? Daniel was quiet. Then, give her 3 days. If she can prove she was framed, we proceed accordingly. If she can't, he didn't finish. Barbara nodded. 72 hours, Miss Mitchell. Prove your innocence or you're done. After the meeting, Sarah went straight to Tommy Park. I heard, he said. I'm sorry. Don't be sorry. Help me prove I didn't do this. Silence. Then, they'll fire me too if they catch us. I know. And I can't ask you to. I'm in. Where do we start? Sarah also called Kathy. The old woman met her at a coffee shop, and when Sarah explained everything, Kathy smiled. You need a forensic accountant, Kathy said. Someone who can trace money that someone tried to hide. Lucky for you. I was CFO of a major corporation for 30 years before arthritis made me retire. I caught embezzlers, dear. Lots of them. For 2 days they worked. Tommy traced the digital footprints. Kathy followed the money trail. Sarah pieced it all together. They found it. All of it. Derek had been selling information to Sterling Development for 6 months. He'd received $500,000 through shell companies. He'd used Sarah's credentials to frame her. They had bank statements, encrypted emails, server logs, everything. Thursday morning, Sarah walked into that boardroom with her head high. This time, she wasn't defending herself. She was going on the attack. The boardroom was even more packed than before. Sarah stood at the front, Kathy beside her in her wheelchair, Tommy with his laptop. Derek sat 3 seats down, looking confident. Barbara called the meeting to order. Miss Mitchell, you had 72 hours. What have you found? Sarah stood. I didn't leak the Lincoln Tower bid. But I know who did. And I can prove it. Tommy connected his laptop to the screen. On Tuesday, October 10th, at 11:30 p.m., someone installed remote monitoring software on Sarah's laptop. That software captured her login credentials. The screen showed installation logs. The software was installed using an IT admin account, but the admin who supposedly did it was off-site that evening. Building security shows only 4 people on our floor during that time. 2 were cleaning staff. 1 was Sarah, who'd already left. And 1 was you, Mr. Chin. Derek's face paled slightly. I occasionally work late. That doesn't mean. It means everything when we add the financial component, Kathy interrupted. She placed a folder on the table. This folder contains bank records for a company called Riverside Holdings LLC. That company received $500,000 from a Cayman Islands account on October 12th, 2 days after the information was leaked. I've never heard of that company, Derek said. Then why is your signature on the incorporation documents? Kathy pulled out a paper. And why did you personally visit the Cayman Islands in September to set up the account? Sarah placed another document on the table. These are encrypted emails between Derek and Sterling Development's VP. Tommy decrypted them. They explicitly discuss exchanging confidential information for payment. Barbara read the emails, her face hardening. Mr. Chin, do you have anything to say? Derek stood up. This is fabricated. Sit down. Barbara's voice could cut steel. Derek sat. Barbara looked around the table. This is enough for criminal prosecution. I recommend immediate termination and referral to federal authorities. Seconded, another board member said. Mr. Chun, you're terminated effective immediately. Security will escort you out. 2 guards entered. Derek stood mechanically, his confidence shattered. He didn't look at Sarah as he passed. After he was gone, Barbara turned to Sarah. Miss Mitchell, on behalf of Foster Properties, I apologize. What happened to you was unconscionable. She stood. I'm recommending your promotion to Vice President of Community Relations. Effective immediately. Sarah felt tears threaten. Thank you. Thank your friends. Without them, Derek might have succeeded. After the meeting, Daniel approached Sarah. I doubted you, he said quietly. When I saw that evidence, I wondered if I'd been wrong about you. I'm sorry. You gave me a chance to prove myself. That's more than most people would do. Daniel glanced at his mother. She never doubted you. Not for a second. She said you had more integrity than anyone in this building. She was right. Kathy wheeled over. Of course I was right. I'm old. We're always right. Sarah knelt down and hugged her. Thank you for everything. You saved my son's company, dear. You did it with the same kindness you showed me that rainy night. Kathy smiled. That's who you are. Don't ever forget it. That evening, Sarah picked up Lily early from school. They went to the park. Sarah pushed her on the swings until Lily's laughter filled the air. Mama, you're happy today, Lily observed. I am, sweetie. Very happy. Why? Because of friends. Because of good people who helped me when I needed it. Sarah crouched to Lily's level. Remember this, baby. The people who matter aren't the ones with money or fancy titles. They're the ones who show up when things are hard. Lily nodded seriously. Like Miss Kathy? Exactly like Miss Kathy. 5 years later, Sarah sat in her corner office on the 40th floor, looking out at Chicago stretched beneath her like a promise kept. Her desk held reports and strategic plans, but also a photo of Lily, now 9 years old, and a framed note from Barbara Klein that read, You revolutionized how we do business. There was a knock on her door. Victoria entered, holding a folder. The reporter from Business Weekly is here for your interview, Victoria said. Actually, I'm going to cancel that. Victoria raised an eyebrow. You're canceling Business Weekly? They're calling you the waitress who changed corporate America. I know. And I hate that headline. I'm not special. I just did what anyone with a conscience should do. Victoria sat down. You saved hundreds of families from losing their homes. You created a community investment program that's been adopted by 20 other companies. That sounds pretty special to me. It sounds like what anyone who's been on the other side would do. Anyone who knows what it's like to be treated as disposable. After Victoria left, Sarah checked her email. One message caught her attention. Subject, thank you. She opened it. Miss Mitchell, you don't know me, but you saved my home 5 years ago. I was living in Riverside Commons with my 2 kids. Single mother. Barely making rent. When I heard Foster Properties bought the building, I thought it was over. I thought we'd be thrown out. Then you fought for us. You convinced them to renovate instead of demolish. My kids still have their home. They still go to the same school with the same friends. You gave us stability when we had none. I just wanted to say thank you. You changed my life. Sincerely, Jennifer Rodriguez. Sarah read it 3 times. Then she walked down the hall to Daniel's office. He looked up from his desk. I wanted to talk to you about something. The board approved a major expansion of the Community Investment Program. 5 cities with potential for nationwide rollout. That's incredible. It's also too much work for one person. So I'm creating a new position, Chief Impact Officer. Someone who can focus exclusively on making sure Foster Properties doesn't just make money, but actually helps the communities we work in. He leaned back. I want you to take it. That's a big change. You've already changed this company. You've changed me. I used to think business was just about profit. You taught me it's about people. I want to make sure that philosophy survives long after we're both gone. Sarah thought about it. About that rainy night 5 years ago. About the choice to help a stranger. About how one act of kindness had rippled outward, changing everything. Okay, she said. Let's do it. That evening, Sarah picked up Lily from school. They got pizza, their favorite place that knew their order by heart. Mom, Lily said, when I grow up, I want to help people too. Like you do. Sarah felt her eyes sting. You already help people, baby. You're kind. You care about others. That's the most important thing. Mrs. Williams says you went from a waitress to a vice president. That's like going from a caterpillar to a butterfly. Sarah laughed. That's actually a perfect way to put it. That night, after Lily was asleep, Sarah stood at her window looking out at the city. Same view, but everything was different. She thought about that rainy night. About Kathy sitting in the cold. About the choice she'd made to help a stranger instead of staying warm and dry inside. One choice. One act of kindness. And it had changed everything. Not just for Sarah. Not just for Lily. But for hundreds of families who still had homes because someone decided to see them as human beings instead of numbers on a spreadsheet. Sarah closed her eyes and smiled. The rain that had brought Kathy to her door that night had been cold and harsh. But it had also washed away the old world and made room for something new. Something better. Something built on the radical idea that people mattered more than profit. That dignity was more valuable than efficiency. That kindness wasn't weakness, it was the foundation of everything worth building. Grace closed her eyes and smiled. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. But she was ready. She'd always been ready. She just hadn't known it yet. And that's the truth I want you to remember, friends. The kindness you show to one person today, one simple act of seeing someone, really seeing them, can ripple outward in ways you can't imagine. It can change lives. It can change companies. It can change the world. Sometimes the smallest acts of kindness create the biggest changes. Never forget that. Never stop being kind. Because you never know whose life you're about to change.